Let me challenge you on something that you probably believe. If you think that rich people are loud, flashy, and obsessed with status, you're probably studying the wrong rich people. The truly wealthy people, they're almost invisible, and that's not an accident. There is this strange belief that money changes people. Now, it does, but not in the way that society tells you. I reached financial independence and became a millionaire in my early 30s. And now I'm an amateur YouTuber trying to share the approach that's worked for me and got me here. And the biggest shift wasn't in my bank account, it was actually in my psychology. Because quietly wealthy people don't think about money the way traditional and just most people do. They move differently. So today I'm going to show you the psychology behind that, not the tactics, but instead just their thinking. Because once you understand how they think, everything about money, career, and life becomes just simpler. And honestly, a lot of the noise starts to look and sound pretty ridiculous. Now, let me say something that might sound uncomfortable. You want to be rich. Okay, but why? I'm asking seriously because I'm rich. I'm a self-made millionaire without any debt. And that's not something that a lot of people can say. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I've already climbed the mountain or that hill that you're currently climbing. And I can actually tell you what's up there. Here's what most people don't realize. If you want to be rich so that you can impress people, you can actually just skip the getting rich part. You don't need money to impress people. You can just rent the car, finance that watch, and just post a bunch of highlight reels. That's much easier, and a lot of people are already doing that. But that approach has some long-term consequences that will negatively impact your life. So why do you actually want money? Maybe it's to stop worrying about bills. Well, I got news for you. If you can't manage $50,000 well, what exactly do you think is going to happen when you have $100,000? See, money doesn't fix bad habits. It just amplifies them. If some random stranger was handed $1 million today, that person would likely just buy a bunch of depreciating assets. The thing is, money loses value every year from inflation. So if you're not intentional, you're already losing ground. This is where it gets real. The wealthy didn't get rich because they wanted money. They got rich because their why was bigger than their comfort. Now let me explain this simply. When it's time to stay late, read, or build skills instead of just relaxing, a shallow reason is not going to carry you far. If your why right now is, I want a bigger house or I want my dream car, okay, but when it's Friday night and you're tired, that reason disappears and comfort wins. For me, it was deeper. I'm going to be honest with you. I hate the idea of depending on someone else for my survival, just outside of myself. I'm talking about banks, employers, or just anything or anyone else. The thought of just needing permission to live my life, that bothers me a lot. The thought of just being trapped because I owe somebody money or something like that, just unacceptable. You can call that ego or whatever you want, but I just call that my identity. And identity is stronger than motivation because that keeps you going when motivation eventually dies. And here's the part that I rarely hear people talk about. I didn't chase money blindly. I just reverse engineered why I wanted money to begin with. This is just way simpler than it sounds. I essentially just asked myself, what does a good life actually look like day to day? And once you do this, you might realize that that life that you're looking for costs way less than you think. So let me give you an example of my ideal day. Wake up, breakfast with family, walk my dog, do some mentally stimulating work, work out, play basketball, hang out with family and friends, dinner, repeat. That's it. That's the dream. Now, ask yourself, what does that life actually require? It does not require a Lamborghini or a big house. It just requires flexibility. It requires margin. It requires control. And it requires some very low fixed expenses. So that's when I realized I don't need to look rich. I just need to structure my life correctly. And that's a psychology shift. So now I'm going to share with you 3 main mindset differences of wealthy people compared to everybody else. Number 1, most people chase status, quietly wealthy people chase control. That's the primary difference. Status is external and control is internal. You see, most people spend $70,000 on a car to feel successful. Quietly wealthy people will drive a $20,000 car or a $15,000 car, invest the difference so they never have to stay in a job that they actually hate. So they don't end up just buying a bunch of freedom symbols, they buy actual freedom. And here's something else that sets them apart. They don't need other people to see their success. Look, when you value control over status, you save aggressively without necessarily feeling deprived. You choose jobs based on flexibility and not just on salary alone. And you avoid lifestyle inflation because you understand what it's going to end up costing you. Every dollar that you spend today is a trade. It's either status today or control tomorrow. And once you see that pretty clearly, it becomes pretty hard to unsee. This is why those quietly wealthy people don't argue about money online. They don't need to win these meaningless debates. They're instead just building real leverage quietly. Number two, they optimize for peace and not applause. This one takes people years to understand. Most people design their lives for applause. Quietly wealthy people design theirs for peace. Let me explain this, I guess in a simple way. When you're optimizing for applause, you post a promotion, you upgrade the car immediately, and you stretch your budget to just smash this new income. When you're optimizing for peace, you increase your savings rate, you keep your lifestyle stable, and you start to build some huge margins. Quiet wealth is heavily correlated with low stress. That's not a coincidence. The quietly wealthy people just avoid financial chaos like it's a disease. They don't max out credit cards, they don't finance furniture, and they don't chase these high-risk investments just to get ahead really quickly. They understand something very, very simple. Peace compounds. That's it. When you're not stressed about money, you think more clearly, you make better career decisions, and you just overall negotiate better in every aspect of your life. Most people think that wealth creates peace, but psychologically, peace actually creates wealth. That's the reversal that I don't hear too many people talking about. And once you understand that, you stop trying to look impressive. Number three, they think in decades, not months. This is the biggest one. These people stretch time. Here's what I mean. Most people think in pay cycles, but quietly wealthy think in decades. If you think in months, you chase quick wins, you panic during market dips, and you job hop emotionally. You also overspend when things feel good. However, if you think in decades or at least just several years, you invest consistently, you ignore the noise, you build skills patiently, and you let compounding do the heavy lifting. The psychology here is rather simple. When your time horizon expands, your emotions start to shrink. Short time horizon equals high anxiety, while long-term horizon equals just overall low anxiety. Quietly wealthy people are emotionally very boring. And I mean that actually in a compliment. They don't react to every headline. They don't panic sell. They don't brag about gains. And they understand something pretty simple. Wealth is usually the byproduct of consistency over time. It's not brilliance or some sort of luck. It's just consistent, boring decisions stacked over 10 to 20 years. That's it. And when you realize that, you're going to start to feel this relief because now it's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being just the calmest. Here's what ties all of this together. Quietly wealthy people don't see money as a way to impress others. This is what fake rich people do. The wealthy see it as a tool to reduce vulnerability. That's it. They don't want to look powerful. They instead just want to avoid being trapped in debt, trapped in jobs they hate, or trapped in financial stress. This way, money essentially becomes a defensive mechanism, not something to show off. And that's why they move quietly. And this is also why many of them seem normal. They blend in because their identity isn't tied to consumption. It's tied to capability. So let's simplify everything. Quietly wealthy people, they value control over status. They optimize for peace over any kind of applause. And they think in decades, not months. That's their entire psychology. And once you adopt this psychology, You stop feeling behind or comparing yourself to others. This is a game. And when you understand the game, you don't have to shout. You just execute. So if this way of thinking makes sense to you, you're in the right place. If it doesn't, give it a minute and rewatch the video again until it does. And once you realize this really makes sense, like and subscribe. And also watch the next video where I break down the importance of looking poor and why this approach might be the smartest move that you ever make. Take care, and thanks for watching.